Based on the modified data points, Mr. Ware reports a discrepancy in the use of silver for photovoltaic applications of 76% compared to 38%. He also finds the cumulative deficit is not increasing by a modest 3%, but by a shocking 23%. And who's behind these purposely orchestrated, illegally misrepresented fake numbers? You guessed it, none other than the Scammy Silver Institute, the main source that all news outlets, blogs, websites, and media sources use for their primary silver data. Can you see why that might be a very concerning issue that needs to be addressed? 'Cause I sure do. This week's specials for Miles Franklin are 1 ounce 2023 silver Krugerrands only $3.10 over spot, along with backdated 10th ounce gold maples for only $29 over melt. We have new specials every single Monday, affordable prices, and one of the largest inventories of precious metals I've personally ever seen. Email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com, or call me at 330-485-6172. That is 330-485-6172. Now let's jump into the video. The silver rabbit hole is unbelievably deep. It is almost fascinating at this point to see how much corruption, how much manipulation, how much sinister ill intent that has been orchestrated over several decades, all pushing silver into this false narrative, from COMEX to the US military in the 1940s to JP Morgan, with banks spoofing the Silver Institute themselves, masking these numbers. It is insane. It's all this huge monopoly of misinformation. And for the first time ever, I do see some light at the end of the tunnel, or the rabbit hole, starting to peek through. So I really like to share this type of information that is breaking down and exposing what's really been going on behind the scenes, and this article is no different. We are going to be dissecting the research of Bix Ware, severe criticism of Silver Institute's World Silver Survey. This article was posted yesterday, May 7th, or I guess at the time of you watching this video will be 2 days ago. So let's jump straight into it. Here's the foreword. This is an article that was emailed to the Silver Academy. Silver Academy is a syndicate of Reddit users. Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act protects free speech for platforms like Reddit, Substack, Google, Twitter, etc. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, or CDA, protects online platforms such as Substack, Twitter, Reddit, and Google for content posted by their users. Our advertising department and editorial department are separate divisions. Sponsors do not necessarily hold the opinions of Silver Academy's editorial staff. The opinions of this broadcast are not the opinions of the sponsors. Editorial staff do not consult with sponsors before broadcasting or publishing. All editorials are fact-checked before publishing. If you guys don't know, there's been a lot happening between the Silver Academy and the Silver Institute, and things got blown way out of the water. I don't want to go too deep into it. All I'm saying is that stuff got wild. Like wild. But anyways, let's keep moving on. So Bix Ware has pointed out that the Silver Institute World Silver Survey 2024 reflects materially altered data. Anyone can download and view the 2024 and 2023 reports to compare them. To the extent that the modifications reflect impossibly lowered increases in silver demand and impossibly modest reductions in supply, the Silver Institute's World Silver Survey 2024 is fraudulent and illegal. This is what I'm saying, folks. When you guys look at a piece of information, even from the Silver Institute, which is supposedly supposed to be the holy grail of information, that when they post, every other article, news, blog, everywhere goes off their numbers. So if they say annual demand is 1.21 billion ounces, everyone's going off that, right? That's they set the standards. They are the ones that post the information. But here's the thing. Even with the Scammy Silver Institute, we have a lot of proof that there are some very corrupt people, and a couple in particular that are running this, that John Forrest Little has exposed. and put ties together with other situations that I'm not going to go into, but you get what I'm saying. The Silver Institute's press release was posted on April 17th, 2024, silverinstitute.org, and here's the actual release. Announced, quote, key findings from its publication of the World Silver Survey 2024, researched and produced for the Silver Institute by Metals Focus, the London-based independent precious metal consultancy, and published under the names the Silver Institute, the Global Source, and MF Metals Focus. This report included, among other contested statements, that total silver supply should decrease by modestly 1%, which the predictions were that supply would be up 2%, but it was actually down 2%. They thought that demand would be up 4%, but it was actually up 8%. So what is the Silver Institute? There are many ways to approach this tricky question, but in the context of a material misstatement, suffice it to say that the list of sponsors and contributors depicts a who's who of the silver industry, including miners, refiners, retailers, banks, and investment services, and others. Thus, the Silver Institute is not merely an interest group, it purports to present the silver industry, right? It's supposed to. It's a Silver Institute. Hence why John Forrest Little was saying, why don't they ever promote silver? Why don't they ever talk about silver? What's up with this? It's like they don't want people to know about silver, yet they're the Silver Institute? Doesn't make sense. Anyways, moreover, since 1990, it has published the World Silver Survey, an annual report on the global silver market. The survey provides market participants with supply and demand stats for key sectors of the silver market, as well as price and trade data. Quote, such annual surveys analyze and aggregate data, including international imports and exports, mine production, recycling, hedging supply, and various demand categories such as industrial, photography, jewelry, and silverware by year, every year. Of course, the use of silver includes mint production, refinery sales, for wealth preservation, international development, military, and space program uses. Of course, silver is a commodity subject to SEC, COMEX, the CFTC, LBMA, which is the London Bullion Market Association, and other global regulation and oversight. The press release summarizing certain information includes outlook for silver in 2024. And I promise all of this makes a lot of sense, and we're getting to the whole point, the meat and potatoes. The total silver supply should decrease modestly by 1%. As a result, this year, we will also see another large silver deficit, amounting to a projected 215.3 million ounces, the second largest market deficit in more than 20 years. If you guys want to know a crazy statistic, over the last 3 years, we've had a deficit of almost 500 million ounces, just in 3 years alone. Though seemingly reported a large deficit, this seems to be damage control for a deficit that is spinning out of control. Such modestly decreased supply is based on the Silver Institute's survey, demonstrably modified data. Anyone can visit their website and compare the current and prior reports. Last year's data was modified and even years back to 2015, to the extent that the Silver Institute has willfully changed the data and fails to report factually. It is international and fraudulent. Yeah, they had to revise their data last year after someone called them out. Material misrepresentations contained in the Silver Survey will be discussed below, but essentially they reflect such an impossibly lowered supply deficit and lowered demand increases. Fraud is a high standard, and despite the Silver Institute's publications, including disclaimers such as, quote, while every effort has been made to ensure the accuracy of the information in this document, the content of this document is provided without any guarantees, conditions, or warranties as to its accuracy, completeness, or reliability. Now, obviously, you know, what they're saying is that's, I guess, them covering their butt, because they know that it's not accurate. But then you can play devil's advocate and say, well, it's hard to tell with these numbers because of, you know, so many different things that silver is used for and, you know, people holding it and all that. But no, that's the obvious devil's advocate approach that they'd probably, and they do, you know, try to side with, but they're just covering their butt. It is not to be construed as a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell precious metal, related products, commodities, securities, or related financial instruments, end quote. Obviously, such disclaimers apply to good faith information and not to intentionally obscure and distort the data. The disclaimer seemingly purports to extend to its members and contributors, quote, to the extent permitted by law, the Silver Institute and Metals Focus, other members of our group of companies and third parties connected to the Silver Institute and Metals Focus expressly exclude all conditions, warranties, and other terms that might otherwise be implied by statute, common law, or law of equity. Any liability for any direct, indirect, or consequential loss or damage incurred by any person or organization reading or relying on this document, including without limitation, loss of income or revenue, loss of business, loss of profit, contracts, loss of anticipated savings, loss of goodwill, and whether caused by tort, including negligence, breach of contract, or otherwise, even if foreseeable, again, based on intentional misrepresentations, no such exclusions can apply. To the extent that the Silver Institute's publications are so influential upon minters, retailers, consumers, and other worldwide commodities markets, material misstatements are criminal, and they are. Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. When I say they're the holy grail of information, they really are, which is very concerning when they are misstating or completely just making up false claims and false numbers when everyone relies so heavily on their data. That can, like it just says, that could greatly affect a lot of other information, and then those other articles and blogs and publications are going off of and respreading false numbers. The Silver Institute's press releases, articles, and surveys are referenced by news outlets. Like I was just saying, MSN, Kitco, Bloomberg, Zero Hedge, MarketWatch, CNBC, USA, mints and consumers are influenced commerce accordingly. Like I was saying, right, when they are saying false numbers, all of these other articles and press releases and surveys and blogs are repeating these false numbers, which is going to, like they just said, also going to influence consumers, investors, businesses. So here's on Bixware's site, Road to Ruta, which that's his YouTube channel. He presents his analysis of the modified data and contextualizes such aberrations, effectively skewing the supply and demand history and outlook in a video available at this Silver Degen Club or Degen Club. Part of the presentation describes his 8 months tracking in the industrial demand for silver by PV cells or photovoltaic applications. Of course, this involves comparing data points from prior surveys with the current one. Using Silver Institute's chart, he flags and calculates percentage discrepancies in his chart titled The 2024 Silver Survey Changed Historical Numbers to Hide Massive Supply-Demand Imbalances. So it goes over silver supply and demand for the last several years, 2015 to 2023, showing actual percentages with the target data distortion. So it's much different. Based on the modified data points, Mr. Ware, Road to Ruta, reports a discrepancy in the use of silver for photovoltaic applications of 76 compared to 38%. He finds cumulative deficit is not increasing by a modest 3%, but by a shocking 23%. See, they're misrepresenting. And then all of these other outlets are also misrepresenting false numbers that were purposely made up, right? This is misinformation. The Silver Institute needs to answer to all these changes in values, including providing a publication identifying which industries are using less silver, providing detail regarding any recategorization of data from one report to the next, providing detail regarding industrial demand for silver by photovoltaic applications, detail of other industrial demand, meaning, military and all of that, and supporting data for values and charts. Readers are asked to contact the regulators named the Silver Institute and Metals Focus or MF Metals Focus to voice their concerns. Your governmental representatives should make sure that our regulators are doing their jobs. Please let your senators and other representatives know that you are concerned about what commodity regulators are allowing. I mean, it is important because remember the outcome of this. Remember the consequences of this and how this is affecting everything. And if you think that it stops at just the Silver Academy or the WGC or Metals Focus, then you're sadly mistaken. Like I said, this goes back to 1940s and probably even earlier, from when you had them stop reporting silver consumption, or when you go back to the military-industrial complex, or back when they even mentioned that there was already a silver shortage several decades ago, and how military needs all of this, and there's not going to be enough if the shortage continues on. And that was just within a very short time frame. I covered that in a couple of videos ago. You can go to silverwars.org, and it even shows an entire time frame of all of this happening, and why, and who, and where, and when, and what. It's insane. Previous to any Bixware YouTube videos, the Silver Academy has published over 10 articles and 5 YouTube videos showing their deceptive practices. The Silver Academy proved that Mike Dorenzio and Paul Bateman have conflicts of interest, lobbying for entities that benefit from silver market manipulation. The entire Silver Institute business model is based on serving these conflicted entities. All details here, and I'm sure this is the one that's talking about the scummy or scammy Silver Institute. And the Silver Academy's concern is that silver is a monetary metal and decentralized money, whereas U.S. dollar is a Federal Reserve note issued by a private central bank that holds secret meetings and has been the subject of many investigations. So yeah, there you have it. We could actually go into this. It goes over. I mean, we could go at, let's look like top. It's probably up here. U.S. silver stockpile rated by Defense Department. Future energy needs depend on U.S. silver development, and that's because we're reliant. Then there's a rebuttal to Silver Institute's fake news. That's what we were talking about, and that's also what he was just talking about, how they also mentioned it. There's a lot. And this is also when I talked about earlier, when they had to mention all that stuff, kind of covering the legal stuff, this got crazy. Like this whole situation got crazy, and it was kind of sad, because at first they thought that they were going to come together and work on this, but then I guess that didn't happen. I don't know if they still have that article up where they mentioned that, let's see, I'm sure he probably deleted it. Yeah, like silver, new evidence, silver's rise in aerospace and military, legal woes for Silver Institute, their sponsors run for fire exits. This is a very long, ongoing thing. Let's see. Silver Institute fails again. Open pit mining ban occurs on their watch. This is an interesting one. Silver users appear before Congress, urging Congress to let military have first dibs on silver. Top 2 Silver Institute directors named as suspects in silver price rigging scandal. That's huge. Silver Institute paid $514,000 in management fees in 2022. Guess where it went? There you go. There's a lot. Silver scandal unearthed. Question: are 2 Silver Institute suspects named in price rigging? The disturbing link between Silver Institute and the U.S. Department of Treasury. Furious stackers demand answers after Silver Institute's shocking conflicts revealed. Like, when I said this stuff got crazy, I was not exaggerating. There's more. Silver Institute misinformation minefield or misguided mission. Like, this got crazy. And then there was a time where they were supposed to come together. Yeah, here you go. Rival silver industry players, Silver Institute and Silver Academy, enter ceasefire talks. It looks like they were going to come together, but then they did not, obviously. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Shout out to Big Swear, aka Road to Ruda, and I've been watching this channel for a very long time. We both talked about Litecoin back in like 2016. We were both one of the first YouTube channels that should talk about like Bitcoin and Litecoin way back in the day when Bitcoin was like $800 and Litecoin was like $6, something like that. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe. Remember, folks, I also have silver, or I guess I can offer you guys a safe place to buy silver from. Email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com, or you can call me now. I got a phone number, a second line. It's 330-485-6172. So you can call me, email me, or text me, however you want. I will hook you guys up, and I promise you will not be disappointed. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys later. Peace.